that is my mother, my aunt when she was 11, my grandmother, and me as a baby. My mother got pregnant at the age of 19, and the young man who got her pregnant wasn't ready to get married or be a father, so my grandparents decided she should move with them to Arizona. That's where I was born, and I never knew my real father. About a year later, she met a nice man, and they got married. But it turned out that he wasn't so nice. As soon as my mother was away from her family, he became abusive, and the violence ended with him locking us in a cellar. His mother found us and set us free, and my uncle sent some money so that we could return home, and my mother thought that we had escaped from a very dangerous man. Sadly, this was really far from the truth. On a warm summer evening a few weeks later, we were in the car, dressed up, driving to a party. I sat in the front seat between my mother and grandmother, and my aunt sat in the back. A car passed us on the highway, and there he was. He was driving aggressively and signaling that my grandmother should pull over. Afraid he would cause an accident, she pulled the car to the side of the road, and my mother said, "He probably just wants to talk." So he parked in front of us and got out and came to my mother's side, and my mother got out to talk to him. They argued. He wanted her to come back with him, and she said no. And then she shouted, "No, don't." No one saw the gun under his shirt. He pulled it out and shot her once in the chest, and then he pointed the gun at me, and she turned and he shot her again in the back, and she fell across me on the seat. By this time, my grandmother was already running around the car to stop him, and he turned and shot her 4 times before she fell to the ground. And then he went to the back door of the car, opened it up, and pointed the gun at my aunt. She had a blanket, and she lifted it up. Click, click. There were no more bullets in the gun. He had emptied it when he shot my grandmother. And that's when he saw the headlights of an oncoming car. He panicked and drove away. My grandmother called out to my aunt, "Are you there? You have to signal the car." My aunt got out and used her blanket to signal for help. My mother was dead. The second bullet hit her heart. My grandmother was seriously wounded but alive, and my aunt and I were unharmed. My mother's killer was caught, and he died in prison many years later. I grew up hearing this story. I always knew that my mother died trying to protect me, that my grandmother risked her life to save us all, and that my aunt was strong enough to get out and signal for help and pull a crying baby from under her dying sister. And I'm sharing this really tragic story with you because I want to talk to you today about heroes. A hero is someone who takes a personal risk to help someone else. And it's this risk that defines a hero. And I'm not talking about extreme sports. I am talking about emergency workers, firefighters, police officers, members of the military, and ordinary people who take unimaginable risks when things go wrong. There are whistleblowers like Wendy who risk their careers to stop wrongdoing. There are activists who take risks to stop human rights violations or help animals or stop environmental destruction. If you look at any act of terrorism, any disaster, or any country torn by war, you'll find heroes who save lives and take risks and to help other people. And we need these heroes. We need these heroes to save lives, to help others, and inspire us to be better people. I would love to tell you that I am that kind of hero, that being a hero is in my blood, but that would be a lie. I was bullied terribly in school. I was never brave enough to defend myself or anyone else. Why wasn't I brave like the other women in my family? I asked myself that question a lot growing up. I went to school and worked and went to university, and I met and married a wonderful man and moved to Germany. But then something happened that made me want to find an answer to that question. I became a mother myself. Would I be brave or heroic if my family was in danger? I didn't know. And then I found hope when I read an article about Dr. Philip Zimbardo and Matt Langdon and something called heroic education. It turned out that heroes share certain characteristics that anyone could learn to develop, and that meant that someone like me, who was not brave and not heroic, could learn to be. And I contacted Matt, and that was the beginning of my own heroic journey. And something that I hope you're taking away from this conference is that anybody can learn to be heroic. But it doesn't happen all at once. It starts with heroic education and becoming an everyday hero. An everyday hero is someone who actively works to make the world a better place. And you'll find the everyday heroes in your communities, helping the homeless or the elderly, Others are volunteering to work with young people or at animal shelters. Others are spending their time, energy, and money to fight for social justice and a better world. And we need these everyday heroes too, to do the right thing, to improve lives and inspire us to be better people. Everyday heroes are also more likely to do something truly heroic in an emergency. So obviously you all want to be everyday heroes, right? Right? Well, heroic education begins with a growth mindset. And Natasha spoke a little bit about this already, and we don't have a lot of time to go into it, but it's basically the belief that your brain can grow more intelligent with learning and hard work. It means facing challenges and accepting failure as a learning experience. There are books and online resources to learn about growth mindset. So I'm just going to give you the big secret to developing a growth mindset in your students and children. And that is to never, ever tell them how intelligent they are. And I know that sounds wrong, but it is like magic. If you praise effort and hard work, you can motivate children to keep trying when they want to give up. They'll keep trying and working hard to excel in the face of challenges rather than giving up. And I promise you, if you praise effort and hard work in your children instead of intelligence and talent, that you can turn "I can't do that" into "I can't do that yet." And that's what we want in an everyday hero. We want everyday heroes who are determined to solve problems and take on tough challenges. An everyday hero also needs the right attitude, and this is the classic question: is the glass half full or half empty? How you see that glass and the world has a big impact on your brain, your stress levels, and health. And you can learn to see the glass half full and how to keep filling it up with mindfulness. Mindfulness is a proven method to help you focus and deal with your emotions. Mindfulness helps children with attention deficit disorder, helps employees prevent burnout, helps soldiers with post-traumatic stress syndrome. And mindfulness is something that can help you with meditation and other things to excel and to be a happier person. Mindful principles include being thankful. Did you know that it is difficult for your brain to be depressed and thankful at the same time? So if you write down 3 things you're thankful for every day, you can reprogram your brain to be happier. You can also choose to be optimistic. This means to not complain. You have to make an effort to stop complaining and look for the good news in the world and solutions to problems. Remembering happy experiences is another thing you can do to make yourself happier, and it's a great thing to do before going to bed, especially for children. And do you know what happens mechanically when you laugh or smile? The muscles in your cheeks press on a nerve that's directly linked to your brain. So if you do this for 30 seconds, it makes your body produce hormones that make you feel good. And smiling is contagious, which means you have the ability to make someone else happy too. And mindfulness isn't just about you. Mindfulness means being kind and taking action in the world. Being kind and volunteering your time to help others helps you become heroic because helping becomes a habit. It also broadens your perspective and makes you happier. Happy people live longer and enjoy healthier relationships. Happy children do better in school and are less likely to get into trouble. Happy employees are more productive and are sick less often. And happiness is important for being an everyday hero because you're more likely to stop and help someone else when you're happy. The next critical part of heroic education is learning first aid and self-defense. These are critical tools that help you act responsibly and safely and give you confidence to act in emergencies. And all of this doesn't sound so hard up until now. But as you heard from Elizabeth, there's something that will keep you from helping even when you want to, and it's the dark side of our human nature, and it's the bystander effect. The bystander effect is why children don't intervene to stop bullying in schools, why people don't help in emergencies, or when someone is being attacked. There are powerful psychological forces that keep you from helping. You may not feel responsible or qualified to help. You may not want to go against a group. It may actually be dangerous to help. These reactions are normal, and learning to react differently and responsibly is hard, and it takes practice, and this is why training is so important. Bystander apathy is also the reason why we feel so powerless to solve so many global problems and why we continue to buy products that we know have been manufactured under horrible conditions. We are often global bystanders. But the good news is that we can beat the bystander effect. Heroic education teaches you that when you make the brave decision to help, it has a powerful impact on those around you. It motivates others to help as well. This is called positive bystander intervention, or the power of one. And everyday heroes who are in the habit of helping others, have had first aid and self-defense training, are more likely to be that one because they're better prepared to help. When you volunteer and support larger groups and organizations, you help make changes on a global scale, and you motivate other people to do the same. Heroic education is important because we don't rise to the level of our expectations, we fall to the level of our training. And heroic education is a training blueprint that we can apply to so many of the problems we face today. If we're worried about terrorism and violence and crime, doesn't it make sense to have a society that is trained to act in emergencies? What about stress and burnout? Don't we have an obligation to give our children the tools and skills that they need to deal with their emotions in stressful situations, to teach them about bystander behavior and kindness and compassion? What can you do with this blueprint? Well, you can help us implement heroic education in your schools, universities, and workplaces. Help us teach our children, citizens, leaders, and friends that kindness and courage are as important as academic and financial achievements. You can also do a lot of other things to make a difference, because really everything you do makes a difference. Volunteer your time to help others. Take your kids with you. Educators, map your community with your students and look for local problems that need to be solved. Sign up for first aid and self-defense classes. Spend your money on fair and sustainable products, and pressure your government and communities or companies to be fair and sustainable too. Be an activist for things that matter to you. I'm here because my mother and grandmother acted in a heartbeat in a horrific situation. And I may never know if I'll be as brave and heroic as they were, if I am lucky enough to live a life where I don't have that happen to me. But I can be prepared. I can be prepared and I can help others. And this is your moment. This is the time where you can choose to become part of this heroic movement and become an everyday hero. Thank you.
The Hero Roundtables are the global events that ask the question, what is a hero? You've just seen one hero talk. To find more and join the conversation, visit our website or social media.